So I've been kind of going back and forth in my head, in my mind, trying to think of what to do about the situation of these partially implanted, but then they're acting upon their own will. What do we actually do? What do I do for my collective so that they can hear my message? That literally has nothing to do with a bunch of people who, number one, regret their entire life, apparently regret every decision that they made in life, can't see the forest from the trees, can't see the silver lining, and quintessentially comes on here every single day let's say trying to take their anger out on people, strangers in social media. Hey, Stevan. You know what? It is Sunday. It feels more like a Monday, though. Isn't that interesting? I like that too, though. That feeling that because we was kind of experiencing a little pattern on Sunday that we had to break that pattern. You know, wow. Um, I was listening to somebody earlier and I was just laughing. You can't help but laugh at people that are complete jokes doing things that don't serve them. Okay, you regret your life. You're angry about things that you should have done. Maybe you should have decided on a better path. Maybe you should have laid out a stronger foundation for yourself. Excuse me, you're an adult. What does other people have to do with that? What does their kids have to do with that? Their family? And so it hasn't been a distraction for me because I've been hard at work. Um, but there's a lot of things that need to be covered, and you can tell that they're constantly listening because I mentioned Lugau's last night, and boy, did the anger explode. Wow. Okay, so anyway, there's a few things that we've been needing to focus on, but I have not been here to speak about it. And the reason why is because, I've been handling things behind the scenes. The spiritual practices that are based in my Native American heritage have still been getting done, regardless of the distractions in social media. Those distractions do not serve you at all. They don't serve us. They haven't been serving anybody. One thing that we got to hit up on is possession. Possession can be very sneaky. Possession can be hard to detect. Possession has to be prevented. It's preventable. And since there's a lot of people out there playing around with necromancy, it happens quite a bit. And it's all sorts of entities that people can become possessed by. But I'm gonna briefly speak on because I'm about to eat breakfast. I got up pretty early this morning because I went to bed early last night. But I'm still gonna go in here and make some breakfast. Stevan, you've got a wrench. Take care of that. I take care of that, and I'm gonna quickly address this dude on my other channel. The Yeah, because hey dude, you it looks like you've switched accounts because I have you blocked. Um Listen, it's not what you're saying, it's the fact that you're saying it to begin with. Who in the hell are you to come to me and try to tell me what to do? You better not. What in the world are you even talking? That's what I'm talking about, the delusion of grandeur. The delusion that you have the power to come in and talk shit about anybody while you worship colonialism. What the hell are you even talking about? The shit be random and it just it be random. You worrying about the wrong things. You need to be worried about the people that you hang around with. Why would you be worried about me celebrating Thanksgiving? That's so weird to me. What the fucking hell? First of all, I celebrate whatever goddamn holiday I want to. And second of all, I give libations and offerings to my ancestors. I am Native American. I am Native American, probably close to 70% Native American. So what I do on Thanksgiving is I don't even necessarily mourn I do mourn my ancestors, but we do celebrate the strives that we achieved. My grandmother achieved a lot. My mother achieved a lot. My grandfather, my grandmother's father, my great grandfather achieved a lot in life. What the who are you to come in? See, this is what I'm talking about. And when and you know what? You're not Native American. You believe in trying to violate people's rights. What are you even talking about? Or are you just trying to distract from the conversation? This is ridiculous. I know, hey, I'm not going to answer any of your questions, but I know that you hang with a group of delusional men who think that they own people on the internet. I know that. I know that you hang with a group of delusional males who for some reason they don't think that, they like to pretend that they own people or that they're connected to people on the internet. You hang around mentally ill, delusional, crazy people. Like that's who you call your homeboys. That's crazy. Yeah, please refrain from coming back in my chat room. You literally like you worrying about the wrong things. For you to be worried about how I celebrate any of my holidays or my Sabbaths, and then it's obvious that you don't listen. The only thing you can listen to is chaos and a bunch of curse words and disrespect of divine feminines. That's all you can listen to. I've spoken about Thanksgiving several times, several times. How the hell? Wow. Like, hey, I'm gonna need for you to go and come out of that delusion and quit coming into my chat room with this delusional behavior. I don't like that energy. Okay. What I was getting ready to speak on was about possession and how let's talk about the most simplest form of possession and what's being done is when it comes to false love relationships. False love, which there is no such thing as false love. Love is love. But when you have a false person trying to conjure love, and how it isn't real and it turns into a form of possession. And so, especially when it comes to women and the divine feminines, and what metaphysical process is important to break free of that, actually. The metaphysical process of that, to break free of that. Okay. Is what we're going to start off by talking about. Not right now at this moment. Clearly, this is not a good time to talk about that, but I want you guys to understand that um, possession is something that you want to prevent, which is why I offer cleanses. What the cleanses do is they free you of that possession, is what they essentially end up doing. Because you don't want to ever be possessed, but especially you don't want to be placed under possession by negative people and their negative entities and ancestors, because there people do have bad ancestors. Okay. So that's something that has been getting distracted from for quite some time now, along with a whole other plethora of things, because of people enacting the tomfoolery constantly. For some people, it serves them for you to be ignorant, which is why they lie a lot. It serves these people for you to be ignorant to what you really need to know about, you know, the world. Okay. So we're going to start talking about that, but I'm trying to figure out a platform where that will be, what platform would be a good place or a good space to do that on. And oops, for some reason, YouTube is kind of a weird place to do that, because you run into all sorts of energies and people that you otherwise would not run into. There's a lot of, mainly the reason why YouTube is such a popular place for that is because YouTube is a social media platform that does not moderate their own platform. YouTube does not have any kind of protections put into place to prevent you from being besieged by certain energies. It's not here. Like, for example, if you go on another platform like Instagram, if somebody gets out of hand too much, a lot of these websites will ban somebody's IP address. And I know that that's possible because of a situation that I was dealing with years ago, that these websites do have the power to ban people from being able to log on to their websites. YouTube doesn't do that. If you're a troll or a demonic entity or or a predator, all you have to do is come to YouTube, and you can create several accounts on YouTube. So that's why YouTube is probably the most popular website that they like to do that from, that they like to frequent. I'm really confused about why they harass me though, because I am not the one. I am not the one to be playing around with. I'm not. You know what I mean? My ancestors are very ruthless and protective. But a person that is used to banging their head up against a brick wall anyway, you know, uh, is gonna keep trying it. Got quite a bit of male stalkers and female stalkers on his website. It's ridiculous. And then, of course, what I mentioned last night apparently sparked some anger from some people when I mentioned the Lugauls that are on here. When I mentioned that people were not happy about that, but I could expose all the way, but I'm not, because it's not. It wouldn't even. It wouldn't for what. That's not even necessary. You know what I mean? So we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna move, just keep moving forward. What else can you do? You know what I'm saying? Well, I can tell you that something that predatorily stalks children, that's not the behavior of a spiritual being. That's not even the behavior of a witch. I kind of got upset the other day when I noticed that there are some people in some cultures that call them witches, and they are not. They would love to be, but they're not. That's a creature that preys upon children and women and pregnant women. Okay. So, and that's something that I have picked up on. And guys, I have quite a few pregnant women that come to me all the time for help and for protection. So a lot of the behaviors of the people that have predatorily stalked me, even what are they? What are you when you come on the internet and predatorily stalk children? Well, we already know what you are. We know what you are, and we know how to deal with you. Okay, end of story, and everybody's moving on. What else can we do at this point? You know what I mean? I was talking to you all about how the internet can sometimes, like social media websites, can sometimes connect you with people that you otherwise, prototypes of people that you otherwise would not come across. You wouldn't cross paths with those types of people or entities or beings whose behavior is so off-putting and weird. It's weird. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've heard horrible things in the news. You hear about horrible stuff in the news, but you just don't see people every day. Like, you don't see it every day. That's something that you just don't see. You're not used to seeing people that openly, predatorily attack children. Isn't it bizarre and strange? Like, has anybody picked up on that? Like, we've ran into plenty of assholes in our life, but for there to be a continuous focus on predatorily stalking children and their mothers on the internet, that says something. It would be different if it was just an isolated incident and then it stopped. But the fact that it's been happening for 10 years or more, I have it on good authority to tell you, though, that I am heavily connected with Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel. So every child that's under my watch is protected. Every child under my watch is protected. So, I don't, eh, you know, uh, you would think that people of that caliber would be afraid of me, but maybe it's desperation. I have no idea. Because I'm going to protect these babies. Well, I'm going to help. I'm going to make sure that the energies are there to protect people, not just the babies. They are the most vulnerable. Babies and children are very vulnerable. You know what I mean? Even to spell work sometimes, because it really depends on if you are connected to your ancestors' powers. Many of you guys have been disconnected from your ancestors and what they did to protect. A lot of people are disconnected from that. You know what I mean? And what they did. You know what I'm saying too? Because we dealing with creature feature 2000s. It's weird. It's very, and a lot of people was talking about witchcraft. I kept saying, what in the hell does that have to do with witchcraft? I kept talking to Ma Lilith. I said, Lilith, what they got to do with witchcraft? I said, what are these people even talking about? I said, that one has nothing to do with the other. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. But I mean, if you go and you look at movies in Hollywood like Hansel and Gretel, the witch in Hansel and Gretel, she fattened up the children so that she could eat them. You know what I'm saying? But that's Hollywood. Hollywood and their depiction of witches is not actually accurate, in my humble opinion. It's not exactly accurate. And like I said, if you were like I learned from the Haitians, if you're a Lugau, of course you would try to cloak yourself as a witch. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that there's no evil witches out there. Yes, there are evil witches out there that prey upon people. Yes, it is. Okay. There's a difference between being an evil witch preying upon people and being an evil witch that just, I'm evil based upon your opinion because I knew how to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? There's some witches, people will call them evil because of what their spirits did to them, because they attacked them unprovoked. It's like an unprovoked attack. Why are you attacking people? And in Native American culture, they called the healers of the tribes witches. They were all considered to be witches, but there were some that were evil and some that were good. You know what I'm saying? So, we've had a lot of confusion going on here for a very long time, you know. All I can tell you is that I'm going to protect these babies. They are out there preying upon children. They're doing it right in people's faces. And what is it that they are doing to make people ignore that? And I think that the main basis of how they're doing that is through possession. It's got to be for people to sit back and not be alarmed about the predatorial behavior that is happening with children. Going back to the Gabriel Fernandez story. Okay, I did a reading on that, several of them. And in observing the situation, everybody around that little baby, everybody that be around, even when it comes to things that have happened to women, it seems like everybody is possessed. And it just whatever the entity is, or the predator, the evil that's working through the vessel that's being used, it seems like everybody just ignores it. No, it seemed like everybody just so happens to not be paying attention. And you don't, and guess what? You don't even know, you can't, the possession, you snap it. Well, a lot of people snap out of the possession. Good people snap out of the possession as soon as they hear something on the news. Then they like, oh my God, I can't believe that that happened. Well, did you see all of the events that was happening up until that happened? And so what was going on? It was possession, to where people were possessed by this spirit that turned a blind eye to what was actually going on. So nobody in the community acted because they were all possessed. Okay, and possession can be achieved through necromancy. You know what I mean? So, these are the things that we should have been talking about. Instead, we've been talking about a bunch of things that will not serve us. It'll serve something else, but it's not serving you. It's not serving people. It's not. It doesn't even serve the puppets that are being used. It doesn't serve them either. But, instead they're being used as a distraction. I couldn't imagine walking around in everyday life just being used by a dark entity to do horrible things. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even imagine. That's called possession. That's why people do things, and and it's kind of like, what in the world? And all of a sudden, people that are vulnerable, no one cares. There's no empathy. Everybody's sitting around foaming at the mouth, slobbering, not even there all the way. So that's another form of possession. Okay. So, anywho, possession is something that we should all be talking about, how to stop it, how to prevent it, how to stop it, how to prevent it. This is something that the spiritual community should be talking about. However, the past decade, it's been distraction. Learning about how to first of all cleanse a person of a dark entity, but then also preventing possession in the first place is something that we all should be talking about. But we're not, because that entity, those dark entities, that conglomerate of dark entities, they got a whole team. They're outnumbered. However, it's still, they're very sneaky. They're very sneaky. They're very tricky. And they know how to pull the wool over people's eyes when it be something obvious. And they could literally say the most horrific things to people that should freak them out, but instead people are like, yes, 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 and it's like, no, 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 what are you doing? That's not normal for you to do that, for you to say that. You know what I mean? So, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you an example of why we need to be talking about possession. So, when it comes to possession, the only thing that people even know about possession, and you have to be very, very careful. I love movies too. I can sit here. I'm about to when I get off of here in a few minutes. I'm a roll a movie. But the knowledge that you're supposed to have is not going to necessarily come from a movie. Movies can inspire you to do research or to explore, but it's The Exorcist. When it comes to possession, people are always looking for they look at The Exorcist, and The Exorcist is a damn good movie because the mother, notice how the father was completely missing in that movie except for the preachers and priests and stuff, but her father was never there. But the mother was pretty phenomenal in that movie because her daughter was literally, that's what it looks like when it's in game. The way Reagan looked in that movie. And I've studied cases. It's I've studied real life cases of possession, these videos that they have and stuff, and you can go and Google it and look it up. And I can tell you that as someone that can cleanse people of bad spirits, and I'm self-cleansing also. I can cleanse myself of bad spirits, even though they want to make it look like I can't by stalking me. Hey, you can't get rid of me. You're not. No, that's a trick. As someone that can cleanse people of bad spirits, I can tell you that the way that it is being done, uh that's subpar. That's not gonna, in fact, a lot of those cases were done by people that lacked expertise, starving the person, binding them to the bed, fasting for 40 days and all that. That's, y'all, come on now. In fact, not eating can be the quickest way to stay possessed, is not eating. If you make a choice to fast because you want to cleanse your body of something, like, maybe maybe you feel like you want to, clear out your system or whatever. You may, feel like you have parasites or something, or worms. That's different. But I'm talking about spiritually cleansing of negative spirits or an entity attachment, a demonic, like, okay, let's not say demonic, let's say a malevolent spirit. Okay. And that is something that I'm sorry, for the most part, uh a majority of people have absolutely no idea how to do that. They just have no idea. Most people don't even know that they're possessed. So, that's something that we're going to start talking about, but I'm going to figure out which platform I'm going to do it on, because this platform is just, I mean, they're watching me from every platform, which is ridiculous. I don't know why you're watching me. You have no authority. Goodness gracious. I can't stand it when people that don't have authority want to pretend that they have authority. It's almost like Hollywood. It's not real, honey. You don't have any authority. Goodness gracious. So I don't even know why you would even, that's a waste of a life, for you to just be, watching me all the time and trying to figure out what I'm doing. You don't have the authority to do that. Especially if you watching me, throughout the years, that's all you've ever heard That's all you've ever heard is me helping people. You ain't heard of me hurting nobody. That's all you've seen is my testimonials of me helping people. Even when someone gave a testimonial, though, the possession caused people to say, oh, that doesn't matter. Yeah, it does matter. It does matter. But, I digress. It is what it is. Okay. So, we're going to talk about that and more. And I'll be back because I'm starving. I'm hungry. I need to eat something. And I'm not sure about what it is that I'm going to eat. I think I'm going to eat like I think I'll make some breakfast. I think I'm going to, know what? No. You know what I'm going to do? I'm getting ready to bake some cookies. I'm a bake some cookies is what I'm going to do first. Just so I can have something quick to eat. Because I was supposed to eat cookies. I was supposed to bake them cookies last night before I went to sleep, but I didn't. I just fell asleep. So, and I was thinking about them cookies. I wanted to get up so bad and bake them cookies, but that sleep just overtook me. You know what I'm saying? I was tired, so I just went to sleep. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna figure this out though. I'm gonna figure out what I can do. I've already tried to. You know what? Maybe I need to do a Patreon to where only patrons can come and listen to some of my talks. Maybe that's what I'll do because y'all need to hear about possession and the subtle things that will happen if you are possessed. And you shouldn't have to do all that cleansing every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't have to cleanse every day. That's doing too much. Having to cleanse yourself every single day, like, okay, of course we all take bath. Hopefully we're taking showers or baths every day, brushing our teeth, washing our faces and stuff. But I'm talking about cleanse spiritually. Unless you've got some stuff that's burrowed deep, then there may be things that come to the surface that you need to cleanse. But otherwise, after you've cleansed for so long, you shouldn't have to continuously cleanse, especially if you're clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then it seems like the possession happens over and over again, especially if you're a target. The interesting part about it is that y'all know I was born on a Thursday. I found out that my grandmother, Lena, was born on a Thursday too. Isn't that interesting? Like it explains so much. It did. It explained a lot. Her being born on a Thursday. Yeah. But my grandmother has had and still has a lot of ancestral power, very powerful ancestors, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me get out of here, y'all. I'm hungry. I'm about to go eat. Okay. So I will catch y'all later. Peace and blessings to you guys. I was going to say one last thing, but I got a text message that distracted me. Let me get this text message. Because that's somebody I want to hear from. All right, y'all. I got to go. Okay. Peace and love to you guys. Bye bye.